There exists a proposition that our internal world, the unseen domain of our thoughts and feelings, is not a passive observer of reality, but its principal architect. This concept, known as the law of attraction, suggests a profound and direct correlation between our state of consciousness and the circumstances of our lives. It posits that the universe is not a series of random events, but a coherent system that responds to the energy we project. In this examination, we will undertake a systematic analysis of this principle, exploring its foundational tenets, its proposed mechanics, and the framework through which it is said to operate. The entire conceptual framework of this law is distilled into a single ancient axiom: like attracts like. This statement serves as the conceptual core, the foundational principle upon which all other aspects of the philosophy are built. It asserts that entities of a similar nature are drawn to one another. In the context of this law, this refers to energetic resonance. The specific quality of an individual's inner state is said to attract external experiences of a similar quality. This is the unyielding bedrock of the entire system. The law of attraction is formally defined as the principle that the object of an individual's sustained focus will be drawn into their tangible experience. It is important to clarify that within its own literature, this is not presented as a form of mysticism or wishful thinking. Rather, it is described as a fundamental, impersonal law governing the interaction between consciousness and the physical world, much like gravity governs the interaction between objects of mass. It is seen as a function of how mind and energy are presumed to interact within the fabric of reality. Our examination will proceed through 6 distinct sections. We will begin with the foundational principle. From there, we will investigate the mechanics of energetic attraction. Subsequently, we will identify the primary impediments to the process. We will then outline a specific 3-step methodology for its application, followed by an analysis of myths versus stated truths. We will conclude with a proposed framework for daily practice. This structured approach is designed to provide a comprehensive and systematic understanding of the topic. We begin our analysis with the first section, the foundational principle. To comprehend the mechanisms of this law, one must first have a firm grasp of its central premise. This core tenet is the philosophical axiom upon which the entire structure rests. A clear understanding of this point is therefore essential for apprehending all that follows. The central assertion of the law of attraction is that an individual's external reality is a precise mirror of their internal state. The life one experiences is not arbitrary, but is, in fact, a direct and unerring reflection of one's dominant thoughts, prevailing emotions, and deeply held beliefs. According to this view, the world does not present itself to us. Rather, we project a world from within. Therefore, a consciousness predominantly occupied with lack, conflict, and difficulty will perceive and experience a reality defined by those very qualities. Conversely, a mind attuned to opportunity, abundance, and harmony is said to manifest a life that reflects that state. If reality is indeed a mirror, the logical inquiry that follows is, what is the mechanism of this reflection? This question leads us to the second section of our analysis, the mechanics of energetic attraction. Here, we transition from the philosophical what to the procedural how, exploring the causal chain that purportedly translates an internal state into an external experience. The process is articulated as a distinct sequential chain of causation. The sequence begins with thought. Thoughts are considered the initial creative impulse, the seed of all experience. These thoughts, when held, inevitably generate corresponding feelings or emotions. These feelings are more than simple biological reactions. They are said to create a distinct energetic signature, or what the source material refers to as a vibration. It is this vibration, this dominant emotional frequency, that is considered the active force. It acts as an energetic signal broadcast into the universe, which then, by the principle of like attracts like, draws back experiences that resonate on that same frequency. This mechanism reveals a critical and often misunderstood distinction. The law is said to respond not to what an individual merely wants or desires, but to the fundamental state of their being. The state of wanting, by its very nature, originates from a place of not having. It is an energetic declaration of lack. Therefore, to focus on wanting something reinforces the absence of it. In contrast, the state of being is an internal condition, a feeling state that aligns with already having the desired outcome. The universe, according to this principle, does not respond to the plea of desire, but to the resonance of one's actual state of being. This very distinction between wanting and being allows us to understand why attempts to apply this principle often results in failure. If the mechanics are as described, what are the common points of obstruction? Section 3 of our examination will now address the primary impediments that are said to create a divergence between one's stated intention and one's manifested reality. The central question for this section is therefore, where does this process falter? Why do so many individuals report that the bridge between their internal intention and its external manifestation appears to be broken? The source material identifies two primary points of failure, two fundamental contradictions that disrupt the energetic alignment required for the process to function. The first and most significant impediment is the conflict between one's conscious, expressed intent and one's deeper, underlying feeling state. An individual may articulate the words, "I am prosperous," through affirmations or conscious thought. However, if the subconscious and dominant emotional frequency is one of lack, scarcity, fear, or doubt, it is this deeper feeling that constitutes the true energetic signal. The words are a superficial layer, while the feeling is the powerful, resonant broadcast. When these two are in opposition, the underlying frequency will always override the expressed intent. This point is summarized in a key statement from the source material. The universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your energy. Within this context, the term energy is synonymous with one's prevailing feeling state or vibration. Words may shape thoughts, but feelings give those thoughts their power and their attractive force. The feeling state is the engine of manifestation. The words are merely the map. Without the engine, the destination remains unreachable, regardless of how clearly it is marked. The second major impediment identified is attachment to a specific outcome. When a strong desire degrades into desperation, characterized by constant anxiety, worry, and a need to check for results, the energetic signal being broadcast shifts. The dominant feeling is no longer one of confident expectation, but of, "I do not have this yet." This desperation is a powerful energetic signal of lack. It reinforces the very reality of absence, thereby counteracting and neutralizing the original positive intention. It creates a feedback loop where the focus on not having attracts more not having. Having identified these common points of failure, the logical next question is how one might correctly apply this principle. This brings us to Section 4, which presents a prescribed three-step methodology. This method is designed specifically to navigate the impediments of energetic conflict and desperate attachment, and to put the law of attraction into practice effectively. The methodology consists of three distinct yet interdependent stages. The first is clarity, which involves defining the desired objective with absolute precision. The second stage is embodiment, which is the process of generating the genuine emotional frequency of the outcome as if it were already a present reality. The third and final stage is detachment, which requires a conscious release of control over the specific timing and manner of the outcome, placing trust in the process itself. Let us first consider the step of clarity. An ambiguous intention, such as "I want more money," is said to send a diffuse and unfocused energetic signal. It lacks a clear target. In contrast, a precise objective, such as desiring a specific sum of money for a clearly defined purpose, creates a coherent and powerful signal. The greater the specificity of the thought, the more focused the energy behind it becomes, and the clearer the vibrational instruction that is being transmitted. The second step, embodiment, is described as the most critical stage of the process. This is not an exercise in make-believe or pretense. It is a disciplined, internal practice of generating the genuine emotional signature of the fulfilled desire. One must ask, how would I truly feel if this objective were already accomplished? The work is then to cultivate that specific emotion, be it relief, security, joy, or gratitude, in the present moment. This practice directly aligns one's current energetic vibration with the vibration of the desired reality. The final step is detachment, which is illustrated by a powerful metaphor from the source. A planted seed is not unearthed to check its growth, it is trusted. After planting a seed, one provides the necessary conditions, soil, water, sunlight, and then trusts the natural process of germination and growth. To constantly dig it up is to destroy it. In the same way, detachment involves releasing the anxious need to micromanage or constantly verify the outcome. It is this trust, this letting go, that paradoxically allows the process to unfold without the interference of a contradictory, doubting energy. As with any widely disseminated concept, the law of attraction has become encircled by numerous misconceptions and distortions. Section 5 is therefore dedicated to clarifying these points by systematically contrasting several common myths with the actual tenets as presented in the source material. A precise understanding requires separating the principle from its popular misinterpretations.
3 prevalent myths are addressed here. First, the misconception that this is a form of instant magic is countered by the clarification that it is a process, one that requires patience, consistency, and often aligned action. Second, the myth that it functions through passivity, that one can simply think and receive, is corrected. The source material states that inspired or aligned action is a necessary component. The internal state should naturally guide one to take steps that are in harmony with the desired outcome. Finally, the idea that it requires forced or toxic positivity is clarified. The practice is not about suppressing negative feelings, but about developing a gentle, conscious awareness of thought and deliberately choosing a better feeling focus.
Understanding the theory and its nuances is the necessary foundation. However, the source material emphasizes that consistent application is what determines the result. Our final section, therefore, provides a simple and structured framework for integrating these principles into daily life. This routine is designed to cultivate the consistency that is identified as the key to the entire practice. The recommended daily practice is built upon simplicity and repetition. The morning is designated for setting the energetic tone for the day through visualization of the desired reality, and crucially, the cultivation of genuine gratitude. Throughout the day, the practice shifts to one of gentle awareness, observing one's thoughts and consciously redirecting focus away from sustained negativity. The day concludes with a period of reflection, focusing on positive events, large or small, to reinforce a state of thankfulness before sleep. It is this consistent, tripartite daily discipline that is presented as the essential mechanism for shifting one's dominant vibration over time. This leads us to a final, profound insight from the source material that reframes the entire endeavor. The process is ultimately not about chasing or acquiring external objects or circumstances. It is, at its core, an internal journey of transformation. The objective is to become the type of person who is a natural, effortless, energetic match for their desired reality. The focus shifts from the external pursuit of things to the internal cultivation of being. The attraction is a natural byproduct of this becoming. And so, we conclude with a final contemplative question. When the principle is understood in its entirety, the ultimate consideration shifts. It is no longer a question of, what am I attracting into my life, but rather a far more profound inquiry. Who am I choosing to become? This question moves the paradigm from a tool for external acquisition to a mirror for internal transformation, compelling us to consider the enduring implications of where we place our conscious focus, and thus, who we are shaping ourselves to be.